Hello, how are you? Now, this is Prefab Fan, also known as Glenn. And as you know, this is supposed to be another in the series of Beatles surround sound recordings that have been somehow withheld from the public and that we haven't been allowed to hear them or access them or whatever you want to call it. But I do have a sort of bonus show for those that are listening. The other day, who was it? Some agency sent me a list showing that if they take all the different 350 people listen to my show. Wow. Here's tonight's scandal. I think that's right. Now, I did mention it on the RAM, which is only partially recorded. The RAM episode, Paul McCartney's RAM. How exciting is that in surround sound? Well, we're going to find out. But what I have tonight are two scandals, two ripoffs, two surround sound recordings that are absolute bullshit. Okay? And I'm really sorry about that, but, you know, there are always ripoffs in this world. And we're going to go through a few of them, at least two. If there's time, there is a third that we're going to go through, but I'm hoping that we don't have to do that. But there actually is a third, which is just as embarrassing. But let's start off with the first. Well, just briefly, because I went over it in RAM. But the first would be there is going around a download recording of Dire Straits' greatest hits in DTS. It purports to be a file that you can download of what was a DTS release. I don't find any DTS release of Dire Straits' greatest hits. And so therefore, there was no DTS surround sound recording for this person to have made a download of. And he apparently took it to some sites where people go to exchange or trade music, uploaded it, wrote a few paragraphs about how great it is in surround sound, and it's absolute crap. It's not in surround sound. It's just stereo, and somebody probably took the enhancement or surround sound button on their receiver, punched it in, and this guy either recorded it out of the HDMI out, or more likely, they took the 6 channels out, RCA out, and just hooked up their recorder to that and put it in Audacity and mixed it into 6 channels, subwoofer and 5, and said, oh, here's 5.1. No, it's not. It's just stereo with a bunch of fog around it. I'm talking about aural fog, sound. And it sounds genuinely terrible. And it suffers sonically. It suffers in every possible way. It's just terrible. Well, now it's going to get even worse. And this is going to be shocking because some of you are going to feel a very, very large pain in your wallet. Because I'm here to tell you that an album that I have sold for $285, it's a double SACD. So again, I'll say that it's a super audio compact disc. It is 2 discs, and it was very rare. It still is very rare. I believe there are almost no new copies. There's no sealed copies. That's what I had a couple of, and I sold them for about $285 each because the demand is just crazy. It's a fantastic album. Well, I just checked, and there are no new versions of it for sale. And there just aren't. There are used versions of this very good double SACD in very good condition, or even up to almost mint condition, and the prices do range from $85 to $100 on Amazon. And whether you buy one, but here's the problem, And I've looked. No one has caught this yet. No one. It's a fake. It is just a complete fake. In other words, it is a stereo recording. All the bands in the front. It sounds like maybe they left a little echo on her voice so that it bleeds into the room and gives you that surround sound effect. But it is trash, just like Giles Martin. It is Alison Krauss live. And it's a great album. The music is great, but it's just a stereo album. And the sound quality, although is good, is no better than any stereo album. So this $285 Super Audio Compact Disc, you can get all of the benefit of for about $9.99 at Amazon. Just buy a CD. Now, if you have a modern receiver, it will very much do, it can sort out the applause and put it out of the rear speakers. They know applause, rear speakers. So you can do that with them. They usually even give you a few choices as to what kind of wraparound you want from the stage. But the SACD has no wraparound from the stage. It is a flat stereo picture of the band, very good band, with Allison singing in the middle, very good Allison. And in the back, they've just planted a bunch of applause. That may be the genuine applause from that night. It may be applause that was constructed. There's a few clever comments from the audience about their love, and I mean their love, for Alison Krauss. But it's not a real surround sound album because the band doesn't leave the front two speakers, possibly three, but the band does not leave that straight line at the front of the listening area. I am very sorry to say that. That's just thievery, just really terrible. What were the two worst versions of theft like that I had heard before Allison? I couldn't think off the top of my head, but I know there's two that just drive me absolutely crazy. And the third one just came in my head. Is that amazing? Oh, God. Okay, the first one would be Get Ready by Rare Earth. Where the crowd, where when they go in to get ready, the crowd just goes wild. Well, that crowd had never heard them. It's not even a live recording. There is no crowd. But why would they have gone crazy for Rare Earth? That song wasn't on the radio yet. So I grabbed my coffee. Now we're going to go on to the second one, which was just such a shame. Because it was a fun album, and the music was good. And it was recorded over at Dave Gold's Gold Star Studio. So the sound was great. The musicianship was top-notch. But they flooded it with bullshit party noise. And you know what we're talking about. We're talking about Beach Boys Party. A really fun album that if they had left all of the crowd noise, which is all phony, if they'd left it off, that would have been a really fun album to listen to. As it is, it's unlistenable. Now, I did hear and tried to even locate a copy that they did release it about 10 years ago without the crowd noise. And the reviews were astounding. They said, this thing is great. Especially I Should Have Known Better is the one that the cut that really gets all the notice. But it's not real. And the third one, which was recorded live, but all the audience noise and stuff and many of the solos and is dubbed in, is Johnny Rivers at the Whiskey A Go-Go. It's mostly bullshit. Some of it might be real, but No, it's very hard to record an artist like that with people yelling and cursing and dropping beer on him while he's singing and stuff like that. So that also is phony. But anyway, we'll get back now to surround sound phonies. We were on Allison Krauss Union Station at the Surround Sound Live SACD, and it is completely, totally phony. Anyway, do you have one that you've noticed that just sticks in your craw? We here are looking for craw stickers. There's no doubt about it. Do you have one that just really irritates you that is a surround sound recording that in fact is not nearly surround sound? You don't have to put in Search of the Lost Chord by the Moody Blues. We all know that that's terrible, and much of it is reconstructed from just stereo recordings and things like that. But that was just a situation where they didn't have any multi-track tapes for reasons I don't understand. They had all the beautiful multi-track tapes from the first album. Why did they lose them from the second? I don't know. Somebody send me the answer to that to princeprospero@gmail.com. You can look up who Prince Prospero was if you forgot your 7th grade literature assignment. And that's going to be it for today. If you really want to do me a favor, go down there and subscribe so you can listen to the next one. Next one will be more on RAM and how great it is and how it could have been a lot greater, because there are 2 competing versions of it, one out of Italy, one out of Central Europe, completely different versions with different content, different sound quality, and generally a completely different attitude toward how do you make a surround sound recording that is not going to be channeled through traditional commercial sources. Anyway, do that. Please ring the bell so I will be able to let you know when the next episode is ready. And there are plenty of more surround sound lost Beatles coming up, so we can listen to those together. All the way to the unimaginably hated Hey Jude, an album everybody hated. Nobody had any idea why they put it out towards the end of their career. But I do have to tell you that it is in such beautiful surround sound. It's astounding. It's so much better than anything Giles has ever done, because every song on it is hardwired, piano right against that right rear speaker, guitar against that left rear speaker, John in that center up front with no bleed through to the rears. And they intentionally made no, the other albums have like John 1 will be in front and John 2 will be in the right rear, and it doesn't sound very good because it distracts from the separation and just kind of sounds like one John in between the 2 speakers. Now, we can always use an extra John, that's known, but the point is, it's the first rule of thumb in multi-channel recording, surround sound recording actually, is you do not place any instrument between the front and rear speaker. So let's say it's on the right, you would never put any sound in between both the front right and the rear right at equal volume or close to equal, so that it would attend, not really, but it was supposed to float in the right center of the room. It will sound horrible. And that, of course, goes for the left, too. If you put a sound like a guitar in the left rear speaker and in the left front speaker at roughly the same volume in both speakers, it's going to sound horrible. It's going to be in the middle of both speakers, and that just really ruins the surround sound picture. So nobody ever does that. Well, there's none of that I remember. We'll listen together and see if it happens. But they learned their lesson by the time Hey Jude came around, And there's just songs on there that are in surround that you just go, wow, listen to that. Old Brown Shoe by George. Wow. And what else? Well, there's just a magnificent surround recording of Hey Jude. I mean, that just knocks out. And I Should Have Known Better, which, how did that get on there? But I do love that song. And it is too fast. That's one of the problems. But I've made my own version just for my own listening. And I kept it in 4-channel surround like it is. And I just lowered the pitch and the speed. I lowered the tempo and the pitch. And John sounds much more like a human being, person, man singing than he does on the version that's out there for us to buy. But anyway, that's really coming, and that'll be great. Also, Magical Mystery Tour. And I want to tell you that there are different versions of that. I've seen a few, but this one is not limited to just the songs that were on the album Magical Mystery Tour. This one has got some bonus cuts that will knock your socks off. You'll say, what is that? They have that in surround? They have a different version in surround of, and this is on Magical Mystery Tour as a bonus of the horrible cut from Love, which is George's Indian cut from Sgt. Pepper, and the John's crazy cut from Revolver. What is the name of that? Love You to I forgot the name of John's cut, but it's terrible that they mix those together. But on Revolver, you do get to hear all of those separated, and that sounds great. You know what? Maybe that would be the right one. Yeah, right after. That's what we'll do. Okay. Right after we finish Ram next week, we're going to do Revolver the week after, and that is so fun. So fun. And I'm getting a signal we did Revolver. Is that right? Did we do Revolver? When? Okay. All right. We'll check that out when you're gone. Anyway, and again, if you'd like to support the show, give some money. We don't take money. Thank you. But you're encouraged, and it would be appreciated if you gave some to any of the charities that support the war against Hitler in beautiful Ukraine. In other words, we support Ukraine. The charity that's called Grace Ukraine, that's a great one, and we support them. If you wanted to give them a couple bucks, that would be great, but we don't want your money. Thank you. All right, have a good night.